Hi guys, how you doing? I'm just going through some emails here and I thought I'd take a quick 5 minute break to do a video based on a good question I've had twice in the same week, and it is from people that are like tracking their food intake and their calories, and they've got their target number of calories, and they've asked if they're doing extra exercise, they're getting a prompt from MyFitnessPal that basically says that they've got room to take in more food. And should they do that, or should they stick to the target that's been set based on what they worked out when they input their details? So the short answer is don't increase the amount of calories that you're consuming based on any extra exercise that you do. So just stick to the baseline, because part of the target you've been set takes into account your typical activity levels anyway. And the problem, I've covered this before, but the problem with doing more exercise to achieve fat loss is that there's a significant law of diminishing returns, and particularly with exercise like spin classes. So this is one of the reasons why I'm not against spin classes, but I think some people think I'm against them. I'm not at all. It's simply though that I'm against the concept of like doing cardio, like spin classes multiple times a week in order to achieve fat loss. And the reason I'm against that is because it doesn't work. It's not because of some emotional reason. It's just, I get it, like intense cardio and all that is really good for mental health and stuff like that. But the more exercise you do, the more your body then tries to essentially protect itself and claw back any excessive amounts of energy that you burn. This has been studied extensively in the last few years. More recently, it's like developed a sort of term called adaptive caloric model of fat loss, and it's to do with all that. But it's been studied long before now, and they've literally studied like the number of HIIT sessions per week and the effect that has on hormones, and the effect that it starts to have on like how your body moves, even and how it affects your habits on a daily basis, even from crazy wee subtle things that you wouldn't even consider, like how much you fidget, like this, move my hands about, right? So it literally, so the more you do, the more your body starts to respond by not shutting down, that's a bit of an extreme word, but it will like find on a subconscious level, you end up doing less without even thinking. You're doing less, if that makes sense. So you think that every physical action is maybe a choice in terms of like getting up and walking about, but a lot of the time it's almost like it's like driven by like hormonal regulation almost in a way. So for example, if you do let's say you do the most monumental workout you've ever done in your entire life, right? And you're literally knackered from it. So maybe if you hadn't done that workout, maybe you would have gone out an hour walk instead, or a 2 hour walk, because you would have more energy to do that 2 hour walk than you would have if you had not done the workout. That makes sense. Whereas if you've done this insane workout, maybe after it, your few hours have passed and you're tired, and then you sit down and you maybe you sit for half an hour, maybe you get a chance to sit down for long, or you sit more at night, and you don't maybe realise that if you hadn't done the workout, your choices later that day may have been different. But because you did the workout, you don't know. It's hard to explain. It almost doesn't sound like it's an autonomous choice. So it's the same, and it works in the same way in a way of when it comes to dieting itself. Like, that's why we talk about like one of the reasons you need to have a high protein diet when you're especially when you're trying to lose weight and you're reducing your calories and all that, is because one of the things it does is that when you're reducing the amount you eat, your body also doesn't want that to happen. It wants to maintain what it's got in terms of your weight, so it will send out hormones. And the two main key ones are ghrelin and leptin. They're the hunger hormones in particular that essentially tell you to eat more or eat less. So when you are in a deficit, if you want to call it that, I suppose, or even if you just eat less, not necessarily in a deficit, your body tends to start secreting hunger hormones to tell you to eat, and that's what happens. Okay, so that's why if you consume high protein diet alongside your lowering of calories, you will you basically dampen the effects of these hormones, ghrelin and leptin. And again, this is something that's been studied extensively. High protein diets reduce the production of hormone ghrelin in your body, which is your hunger hormone. So these are, so it's all about considering these things together. So if you've got your target number of calories that you've set yourself, stick to it, and don't think that if you do more and more exercise that I'm going to go and do 2 or 3 extra HIIT classes a week. Yeah, you'll maybe get a benefit from 1, possibly 2 extra, but it's probably nowhere near as much as you think it is. And the offset of that is that it also might then leave you feeling more tired and less fresh for the higher quality sessions, like the weight training sessions, the strength work, and that kind of thing. Okay, so hopefully that makes a bit of sense. If this raises more questions than answers, just ask, and then I could try and make it a bit more easy to understand. Right.